remote work and well-being. Is it possible to balance? In a world where remote work is becoming the new norm, there are a few challenges that remote workers face. For example, isolation, digital distractions, information overload, long hours of sitting, and the lack of work-life boundaries, just to name a few of them. As a remote worker myself, I have encountered all of them at some point during my 12 years of remote work experience. Hi, my name is Aya, and in these video episodes I am talking about healthy productivity and well-being. If you want to learn more about it, please subscribe to this channel. Today I am visiting Valencia Digital Summit, organized by Startup Valencia and hosted at City of Arts and Science, bringing together accelerators, investors, and key players in the international innovation ecosystem. So it's a perfect place to meet remote professionals and ask them how they manage work and well-being. Let's dive deeper and learn more.
Hi, thank you, Aya. Thanks for inviting me. I'm happy to be here at the Valencia Digital Summit sharing with you about remote work. Okay, so my name is Linda. I am a remote work advocate, and I work for remote.com, okay, the company that helps all the companies to go remote. So that's what we do. I've been working remotely for several years now, and I ended up here at Remote doing what I love, sharing about remote work and how to people how they can be hired compliantly in any country.
That's great. And you know, in the conferences like this, Valencia Digital Summit and other, I hear like a lot of controversial opinions about remote work. So what do you think, what are the main benefits of remote work for both companies and employees, and how it affects overall well?
Okay, yes, there are many different opinions about work and what's the future of work. We don't actually know what's the future of work. What we know is that people, they are looking for benefits and they're looking for flexibility. So the future of work is flexibility. And what lets you being flexible is remote work, okay? Why hybrid? Yes, hybrid works. It depends on the culture of the company. That's the main thing we should be looking at. Why they want to be remote, why they want to be hybrid, and why they want all their people in the offices. Okay, so once they discover their culture, they can understand what's the best for them. There's a little for everyone. In my case, I do advocate for remote. What the benefit is? Okay, flexibility is the main benefit, okay? Why? Because it helps people that are taking care for families, if they're caregivers. That's one of the main reasons why remote work works, because a lot of moms, they're professionals, and a lot of people, they want to be at home because they need to take care of their family or something, and they don't want to be asking for permission, but they're professionals and they are very responsible, they're very responsive in every task. So this is one of the reasons. Other digital nomads, there are people traveling, people, they want freedom, they don't want to be stuck in an office. Another benefit is that you work from home, so you have control of your well-being. This is very important. If you want to work out, you can take care more about what you're eating. So it is all translated as a benefit and helps your well-being.
And you also have to learn how to have these boundaries, actually, if you want to maintain well-being in the remote work environment.
Definitely, having boundaries is very important. And not only boundaries, you need to be very consistent, very organized, and proactive. You need to know when is your time to work and when is your time to stop, okay? Yeah. Sometimes it's hard to disconnect from your work when you have everything in your house, but if you set one space only to work, then you know that when you're sitting there, you are responsible to do what you're entitled to do. I don't agree with people working from their bed, because that's not the place to work from. And many people is confused that they think that they're working remotely, that they can do that. That doesn't mean working remotely. That what means is that you need to build your own space for your brain to engage and work from any place.
What are some strategies that companies should consider then when hiring and managing remote teams to ensure both productivity and well-being?
Okay, so companies, uh, first of they need to have a people's team that are focused on these strategies. They need to be intentional about remote work. Okay, remote work doesn't just happen. They need to be intentional about it. They need to have the correct people leading remote teams. So you have to have a remote first leader, a coach that can help companies to go remote or to know how to manage remote teams. That's the first thing. This doesn't just happen. It needs to be intentional. Intentional about building the culture, creating build-up sessions for the team, and using the correct tools to communicate. Okay, via messaging. If you have async work, that too. If you are providing the flexibility, if you're properly communicating and over communicating written and verbally, okay, through different types of messaging. Could be video, could be written, could be setting a meeting. It could be in many ways. This is the way that companies should be focusing on how to build a remote culture.
And exactly this morning in the session about remote talents, I hear one idea that if you want to have a remote team, you have to first have a remote mindset to incorporate the ideas, because and especially when you have hybrid style of working. So some people who work remotely, we can miss some information. For example, when because then the real meeting ends. Some people who are in the office, we still continue having meeting, the relationships, like some sharing some ideas. And those who left the meeting online, we miss that information of the office space. So you have to have this mindset to connect people who work remotely.
Definitely. The mindset is the first thing that you need to have when working remote. This is for the employer and for the employee. Both need to have remote mindset. Okay, what means for the company to have a intentional culture about it, and what means for the employee to have a remote setting, be at the right place, working in a place that they can focus and deliver what they're asked for.
Yes. So, as a remote work advocate, what advice would you give to remote professionals looking to improve their well-being?
Okay, that's very important. I think I've said it a lot of times today, but being intentional about being well. Okay, searching for coaches is very healthy. Searching for people that are like-minded and say, okay, what are your struggles inside your company and outside your company? Okay, with other remote workers, work out. Like if you're working from home, you need to go outside from your house. Okay, working from home doesn't mean that you need to be in your house 24/7. You need to go out, breathe fresh air, have lunch outside of your house, and create also an environment that your mental well-being is okay. And talking and expressing is very important. If you're feeling down, share with your manager, share with someone in your team, and say, okay, I need help. And asking for help is always good, okay? So to be healthy, you need to be intentional. And this applies not only for remote workers, it applies for anyone.
So my name is Suzan. I'm originally from the Netherlands. And my mission is to make mental health a top priority at the organization.
We talked a bit previously about mental health and mental fitness. So could you please explain what mental fitness practices are and how they can benefit remote workers?
Yeah. So I support companies and employees at the workplace with mindfulness and positive psychology exercises. We do a training for that. And mindfulness is nothing more than becoming aware of your thoughts in the present moment. And we have a tendency to have thoughts in the past and in the future. But it's so good to know and to recognize what you need in this moment. So becoming more in the present moment instead of in the past or the future.
So coming back to our remote topic, I would like to ask, what are some common stressors or mental health challenges that remote workers face?
Yeah, as a remote worker, you are, of course, working in your own space, which is for a lot of people very nice, and you're very flexible, but it can also be very lonely. So you can be all the time alone with your laptop or your phone and feel like work never is done. No, there's always something to do. So it might be a 24-hour exercise. And so it's so important to realize that you need pauses. You need moments that you are away from work or that you go to do something with energize.
Like just the contrast to balance better.
Yeah.
So how can mindfulness techniques help to overcome these challenges? And maybe there are some specific practices that can remote professionals incorporate in their daily routines.
Yeah. So it all starts with becoming aware. I think a lot of starters would say, yeah, but that's my goal and I want to go there and I want to work 24 hours to reach it. And that's fine, and I understand that. But we need time to recover. So it starts with becoming aware of the fact that you need that time and that you maybe have sometimes doubts and that you maybe have a day that you are having an off day. That's also fine. It starts with that, becoming aware. And the moment you are aware of those thoughts, then you have a choice. And then you can say, okay, I now need a break. I need to go out in nature, or I need to just have a talk or doing some sports. So that's what you are asking. Those are the things that you can do. And it depends. It's personal. So some person like to meditate, another like to do sports. Really feel and ask yourself, what do you need in this moment?
Just to be aware about yourself. And I remember for me, it was one of the most difficult things to incorporate those breaks into my routine, because I didn't have boundaries when I started working remotely. And for me, what I noticed was one of the best choices, just go for a walk, like to have mindful walk.
Yeah, I totally agree with you.
As a mental fitness coach who work with remote teams, what would you recommend for teams, how we can improve their well-being, can create more mindful and supportive remote work environment?
Yeah, as a team, of course, it's maybe even more difficult to keep in touch now. So to be connected, you have to, of course, you have your online meetings, but you also have to ask each other, well, how are you doing? And you have to ask them also, not only work-related, but also privately, how are you doing? And maybe you can even start a meeting with a small breath work or some meditation, just to check in with ourselves, and then starting the conversation.
What tools do teams can use to promote their well-being?
Yeah, so there's one training I offer a lot to companies in international. That's an 8-week training. It's called the mental fitness training. And why 8 weeks? Because we need to have a change in behavior. And as we all know, behavior is not something that you change in 1 day or 2 days. So you need a longer period. So every week I see them for 1 hour. Could be online, could be offline. And we talk about subjects like positive psychology, mindfulness, optimism, resilience, confidence, because all those things, and that's the beautiful thing into our new science, is that you can develop them. And so you can develop optimism, you can develop resilience. So we have one session is really focused on mindfulness, and we do meditation, we talk about the automatic pilot and our thoughts. and the other session is more about positive psychology. So that's the mental fitness training.
My name is Timothy. I run a web design agency and also in the process of starting up a coaching business. But mainly I have my web design business where we focus on creating more high converting websites and more strategically built and not just to look pretty, but to fulfill a goal and a purpose.
Today we are talking about remote work and well-being. So I would like to ask, as a remote entrepreneur, how do you balance work and life, and what strategies support your well-being?
I'm not sure about this balance. It's hard. But yeah, no. I work most of the time, but I try to schedule out my time. So I try to structure it up as good as possible so I know what to do, when to do it. And lately I've been trying to schedule in a little bit more of free time as well. Taking care of myself as well. For me to function and for my business to function, it's important that I feel good physically and mentally. For that, I try to work out as much as possible and eat healthy food and meditate, take care of my body and my mind.
That sounds great. And, I also like to say not only work-life balance, but also work-life harmony.
Yeah, I try to live in a harmony as well. But as you know, as an entrepreneur, sometimes it's a bit stressful. But yeah, if I feel a little bit overwhelmed, maybe during the day, I try to go out for a walk in the park or something so I can clear my mind. Take a break. I know that's something you talk about a lot as well. Taking a break, that's sometimes the most productive thing you can do.
Yeah, it's true. So what do you think? What are challenges unique to entrepreneurs in remote work settings?
You need to be very structured and disciplined. That can be hard sometimes. You only have yourself to rely to. You don't have a boss that tells you need to be here at that time or you get fired. So you need to be disciplined. You need to make sure that what needs to be done gets done. So I think that's one big challenge, and to be able to perform the way and be as productive as you should while you're working all the time as well and be very focused. So you need to be very intentional with your time, I would say.
We experience a huge information overload while working remotely, also isolation, all those things. Did you notice?
Oh yeah, definitely. There's a lot of distractions everywhere. That's why it's so important with what I say, like to try to focus and be focused where you work and try to cut out the distractions. No matter what it is, even if you got all the information online that always try to get in your head, or you got the notifications on your phone always popping off. So for me, that like I turn off all my notifications on my phone. I don't have any of them, and put it away. And when I schedule something, I try to just focus on that thing. I use the Pomodoro technique. So I work 25 minutes, take a 5-minute break, work 25, and that goes 4 times over, and then I take a little bit longer break, and then I start over again. I just have everything structured, what I need to do, and check it off from my to-do list.
And what advice would you give to other entrepreneurs who want to build a successful business and avoid burnout?
Consistency to begin with. You need to find something that you're passionate about, that you feel like you can be consistent even when it's hard to do it, because it will take a long time for you to build everything up and become successful. So you need to be able to stick with it even through the tough times and not just give up. And to avoid burnout, take care of yourself. I think that's the most important. Take care of your mind and your body. Make sure you eat healthy, work out, and meditate or something for your mind. Take breaks and try to have some type of balance. Speaking from my own experiences, I know it's really hard to have a work-life balance as an entrepreneur, and especially the first few years or so, when you work really hard all the time. That's been the case for me. Like I usually don't have a lot of free time. But try to have some type of plan out some life balance as well, where you take some time off, focus on other things, meet up with some friends, go out in the park or whatever. I've noticed sometimes I see them, we just work every day for a long time, and then I feel a little bit stuck maybe, or I feel like something is not right, and then I go out and spend some time out in the nature and with friends and hang out and do some other things, and then I just get another type of inspiration and motivation, and I just feel like, okay, this is exactly what I need. So if you do that more consistently, I think you will have a lot easier to keep up that energy that you need.
And you also, when you go out and meet others, you feel more connected. as a remote entrepreneur because it's
Exactly, you get more inspired as well by the people. Since I moved here to Valencia, for example, I've built a really good community of people. I have a really good circle of people. So every time when I'm out with my friends, they're also entrepreneurs, business owners, and creators of some type. So always when I'm out with them, even we're out and enjoying ourselves, we're still maybe talking about business or learning something about from each other, or at least get inspiration or create something. So there's always something going on either way. Even if we're just hanging out, there's always some type of inspiration or creation going on. So that's really cool.
So I'm Romina. I help people in the corporate world to build their online businesses so they can build a plan to later change paths and have a better lifestyle and freedom.
That's great. So tell us, what inspired you to help people who work in the corporates to transition to online business, and how it affects actually their well-being?
Yeah, so I'm an ex-corporate. I was in the corporate for 7 years working as an engineer, and it's a very stressful environment. I think we are all taught when we're little to always go through that path, to always get a career, get a job, but then in the field we realize that this is not what I wanted, some of us. So I was always seeing through those 7 years that my personal life was always left out, was never a priority for me. Everything was my success, my career, and my job. So when I quit, after 7 years, when I moved to Valencia, I was able to quit to start again and building a new lifestyle, working online, waking up every morning in my house, having a coffee, chatting with my family. I realized more people need to feel this peace and calm.
I also wanted to ask you, what challenges do your clients face when start working remotely, and how can they maintain their will?
Yes, well, definitely it's a big change. So I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna say it's an easy thing to do. There are a lot of things. Once you make the decision and once you start moving forward with it, you create your plan and you are going with someone helping you, which is always my recommendation. You're gonna see that this is a process. It's very important to embrace the process, to embrace your process times, because we all have different times, different processes, and a lot of people usually get a little bit impatient with the results. Like people want probably immediate results or short-term results, and you gotta be patient in this process, in this new thing you're building.
What advice, one specific thing would you recommend to others who are considering moving to remote work in terms of maintaining a healthy productivity and well-being?
Very important to always keep your personal life as priority. I think that's very important. If you like doing sports, if you like spending time with your family, if you need to go to the doctor, visit to the doctor from time to time, if you like singing, if you like dancing, it's very important to always have a very good balance with your personal life. Otherwise, it's going to start feeling like a corporate. And always, in terms of your work, your online work, it's very important to always keep learning, keep trying new things. It's a very diverse world. You can do different things, and that's going to keep yourself also always creative, always motivated, and always challenging yourself to do more, but not affecting your well-being.
I would add also, when you are trying to balance your personal life and work, so it's important to plan it in advance and add to your calendar just to really do that.
Right, and you know about it, right? Yeah, I love how you talk about having an organized, routine. Yes, an organized routine definitely is very important, because once things start happening, you can get so immersed in your job, because it's going to be a job anyways. So you definitely need to be very, very disciplined with your routine, to have a schedule. Times work a lot, especially if you have a busy life, you know. So definitely there are tools and also people who help with productivity and with having healthy routines.
Thank you very much, Romina. As you see, remote work can be really challenging, but if you want to be successful and productive, don't forget to prioritize your well-being. Thank you for watching, and I see you in the next video episodes.